Hey folks, it's Max here and welcome to a brand new TEW2020 video. You join us for which technically would be the first AEW video of 2023, where we attempt to actually run a bit of continuity more on the storyline side of things rather than previously going for that 100 rated match. Although, because we are on a new PC with the game unlicensed, we do have that, we have every achievement still to achieve basically, and we do need to go for that. So there is still going to be that external pressure on myself because I want to get 100%. I want all the achievements, but I realise as more and more this time goes on, it's probably looking unlikely, but we'll keep going for it. So we're on Beach Break, it's our January event. Normally the traditional format I'd have here would be Beach Break into Forbidden Door, into the women's event, into a free event, into Revolution. As you're probably aware, we've probably signed half in New Japan, so I'm going to scrap Forbidden Door and put something in its place. I'm going to change the female event's name to something else, which we'll touch on during this episode because there's something that links to that. I'll still do a free event because I'll get 100,000 there. That ticks off that achievement, and then straight to Revolution after that. So hopefully, the storylines we've got going will continue in. I don't tend to rebook segments, I just kind of have honestly, my feuds are down on sticky notes on Windows, and then I just basically book around that. So I'll explain stuff and the storylines behind them as the matches take place. So we'll use our traditional format. We'll get in, we'll do the angle, we'll read the matchup, explain the winner, and then we'll reveal how we got to that place. I think that sounds fine. So as always, thanks for tuning in. We are going to be straight into it as usual. Money's not an issue now. We're in 2026. Legends Very Band. A-list celebrity, 2 million on the special set. We've even done a motivational speech to try and get the best score possible. So sit back, relax, we're on the AEW Plus network. This is Beach Break, let's do it. So straight off the bat, you always have to get the cheap segment that gets me the big rating. So I felt like the best way to do that on a pay-per-view, when you're not traditionally going to have like a sports entertainment opener, is just to have the Super Elite come together. So that's Adam Cole, Jay White, Nick Jackson, Kevin Steen, Hangman and Kenny. For those of you who are new or haven't watched in a while, Matt Jackson won't be available for a year, so that's why Nick's on his own. Most of these guys are on the Dynamite brand, apart from Kevin Steen, who's kind of on his own on Rampage, but he is causing a little bit of controversy with a few people. So it's really just him having like a kind of team meeting. Adam Cole and Jay White are not in action tonight. They're just going to keep an eye on things from basically the backstage, but if needed, they'll appear. Kevin Steen's been causing some hassle with Tyler Black and Jon Moxley over on Rampage, and he is basically seen himself in a triple threat tag match. It is going to be Moxley and Tyler Black against Kevin Steen and Nick Jackson, and against FTR for the tag titles. The big feud though is the one between Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, Sami Zayne, and Ricky Starks. It was basically Ricky was getting very pally with Hangman and Kenny, but we got to a stage where Kenny and Hangman just keep beating up Sami Zayn. Took him out of action. He's been out of action for 3 weeks. Come back last week on Dynamite, and who aligned with him to make the save? It was turning babyface absolute Ricky Starks. So a 95 segment for that as we just reveal why those matches are taking place. Kenny struggled off script, and it's just a gimmick change for Hangman, who is now a backstabber, which got an initial rating of great, so that's good. Like to see that. So 95 to open the show puts the pressure on basically the main event match to deliver. So starting off with a superb matchup, we had Mercedes Varnado defeat Charlotte in 14-16 by submission with a bank statement. Mercedes made defence number 10 of the AEW Women's Championship. So only a 79 between these two. This is despite them having pretty good chemistry, which lifted the match up. Mercedes there were 93. I was kind of surprised these two had never had a one-on-one match for the championship, or in general in this save. They had the Fatal 4-Way matchup All Out, or Full Gear, I can't remember which one it was. But basically, long story short is basically, I needed an opponent for Mercedes for what's coming for her. Charlotte used the lackeys in the sense of Camille and Julia Hart, Julia being her protege in this. Mercedes overcame all the obstacles and then overcame the final boss in Charlotte. After this, we see her backstage, Mercedes, and she bumps into Kairi Hojo, the TBS champion. And Kairi just says, "It's absolutely fantastic you've defended the championship belt, but watch out, there's one more person you've still to face that you've never beaten, that's never had their opportunity, and I don't know if you can beat them." So a 78 there. Mercedes came out looking excellent. She also has a gimmick getting stale, so I'll need to remember to change that. I'll just reveal it now because it will probably be the matchup that takes place at the all-women's event, the main event. We got on a permanent deal, Mayu Iwatani. We had her on loan previously. She got to the semi-finals of the big women's tournament before Stardom wouldn't loan her out anymore. Obviously, we've edited her relationship with them. Her contract legitimately expired. We made the sale. We just took the loyalty away because with the amount of loyalty that is in wrestling, pretty much none these days. Felt like the deal was fine, but it's just Kairi warning of her, and she'll make her debut probably in a fortnight in game. The time it gets to Dynamite, and then she'll obviously Mercedes like, oh my god, and then the matchup will take place at that all women's event. So I might see them in action. Maybe even have them tag up together at the replacement for Forbidden Door, and then after the stare down, and then we could have a matchup at the women's event. We're down into the triple threat tag match, and it was about had superb wrestling and great heat. FTR defeated Jon Moxley and Tyler Black and Kevin Steen and Nick Jackson in 23-32 when Cash Wheeler pinned Tyler Black after using the ropes for leverage. FTR make defense number 4 of the World Tag titles. So the segment overall gets a 92. I feel like that really elevated Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, which is good because I don't feel they're the most over, but we know how good they are in real life, obviously, and in the game. But it just gives a bit more to their title run, and it also allows you to extend, the feud between these two teams here. And has Tyler Black still got it anymore? So Tyler's getting stale. Dax Harwood is now preparing to be cunning, which was adequate. But shame it takes away a bit of psychology. But overall, a pretty good showing for FTR here at the Jordan Hare Stadium. And I'll obviously need to work on what we do with Mercedes, but pretty good. Allows me to extend that feud. There's a lot of tag teams, so FTR won't be short of competitors. Moving along, with about had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. We had Priscilla Kelly defeat Yuka Sakazaki in a 14-22 with a tilt-a-whirl Dragon Sleeper submission victory, meaning Priscilla is the new queen of AEW. So a 76 here. So let me explain this one. So, truth be told, the queen of AEW is basically the queen of FCW Championship, but it's moved. We bought it and it's moved to the Carnage brand, which is our ECW NXT for brand. Yuka's far too good for that brand. She cannot be on that brand. As much as I want to keep her on there having good matches, she can have so much better on Rampage and Dynamite. So I put it on Priscilla. As I say, I'd even rather move her to even the main rosters, the top 2 brands as well. But I feel like she's got a lot of good opponents there. I've moved Red Velvet over. I've moved Serena Deeb over. So she's going to have some good feuds. But Yuka, she needs to be up there with like Mercedes, Bayley, Kairi Hojo. She has to be up there. She's so good. So that's why Priscilla Kelly wins the Queen of AEW Championship. Next up, also on that brand, we have Shota Umino as the AEW Evolve Champion. So obviously we bought Evolve's Championship. So Claudio just moved over. He took on Ricochet, where he was a bit flustered and was rolled up by the one of only in a WWE-like finish. But after the matchup, he says, "That was a fluke. Shota, you couldn't get the same fluke victory over me, so I'm going to challenge you for the championship." Makes perfect sense. You just lose and then decide to challenge for the belt. But I feel like it's someone that could only elevate Shota Umino. And it was in a good wrestling match and a decent reaction from the crowd. Like Shota Umino defeated Claudio in 11:48 by pinfall, giving him his second defence of the belt. It's a weird brand, Carnage, because you've got the likes of Shota doing his thing, obviously younger guys having championship reigns. Cody Rhodes has kind of got a lot of proteges in this now, so he's obviously helping develop them. He's aligned with Bailey Matthews, more on that later. And then you've got that terrible alliance of Logan Paul and Matty Wahlberg, which is just 2 really annoying people. And they've got a 3rd member to join their little group, which you'll see later in the show. Now this one, This one I posted on social media. I posted it on Twitter because it all happened in the space of the week. Basically, my mixed tag team champions were initially Tyler Black and Becky Quinn. Becky Quinn and Tyler Black then split up. The belts then went on to Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona. They had a little run for the belts, and then Matt Cardona cheated on Chelsea Green in game with Becky Quinn. All your mixed tag team champions doing that kind of thing. So basically, Chelsea's obviously attacked Matt and just says no more. Chelsea then get a cracked jaw in a match, so she can't wrestle, she can only really do angles. So she's aligned with Diona, obviously they're really friends in that. So Diona's found Becky Quinn backstage, she's distracted her. Chelsea's then started beating her down for a 2-on-1 attack. So you could argue probably merited, but we'll obviously look to Sunday with Becky and we'll turn this hatred into a proper feud. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have hatred towards each other in this save now, purely because of that. Like Lance Storm hates Becky Quinn, and it's ugly. It's all turned ugly. But 67 for the segment, nonetheless. Next up, this has been one of my favourite feuds to work here. So, and about had some great wrestling, a good heat. Konosuke Takeshita, there we go, defeated Bryan Danielson in 2049 with a touchdown. Touchdown Takeshita, 77. This storyline has been really, really fun to book. Basically, Takeshita wants the TNT Championship. Bryan's obviously aligned with the TNT Champion Daniel Garcia as like a mentor. Bryan can only work events. So the thing I had to do here was, if Takeshita can defeat Bryan, he gets the opportunity at the pay-per-view next coming up against Daniel Garcia. Simple, effective. Bryan's obviously physically breaking down as well. Doesn't have the most overness, so we've got to utilise him while we can. But Takeshita, good win. And he's an 8-9 performance as well. After the matchup, there's a stare down, a heated confrontation between Takeshita and Daniel Garcia. 78 there. And yeah, Bryan might turn babyface at one point. Maybe aligning away from Daniel Garcia. Next up, we had a superb wrestling matchup for the TBS Championship, and it was Kairi was going to defend against Demi or Takuma Iroha. The two of them had a number one contenders match, which they drew. So we thought, screw it, triple threat match. I felt like Kairi's always going to put people into a good matchup, just maybe lacks the psychology. Same with Demi. Takuma Iroha has psychology and abundance, so that makes up for it, that covers it, and that gives us a superb triple threat matchup. Kairi picks up the win though in 1740 when she defeats Takuma Iroha with a spear, giving her 6th defence of the TBS Championship. I feel like I've got too many people that are too good for the TBS Championship but not quite enough for the women's belt, which leaves me in a frustrating spot, but it means I can keep having more bangers on pay-per-view with the likes of Kairi with an 86. Sensational stuff. I then have a little package, video package, and you're like, why is it hyping Kana and QT Marshall? So I panicked when I was looking to get new mixed tag team champions, and then I thought, why don't I just do it where you get a wee comedy one, but Kana just destroys everybody, and QT Marshall just continually gets beat up, so she carries the team effectively, and he gets the tag reign. I was like, do you know what? Let's just do it. And then it turned out they had excellent chemistry, and I'm like, this is perfect. So that's your mixed tag team champions. It's Kana and QT Marshall. 58. Next up was a good matchup for the Shine Championship, our TBS equivalent over on Rampage. Elena Black lost a non-title matchup to Jamie Hayter, which obviously makes her number one contender. They've been back and forth the last couple of weeks, but Elena gets the win in 14:28 when she trips Jamie Hayter up, and she basically hurts herself. She can't get back in the ring, and it kind of protects them in that regard because it's a count out victory, and it is a 4th title defence. So 75 is pretty good. 76 for Elena Black, 71 for Jamie Hayter, and then when Jamie gets to her senses, she managed to grab the champion, beats her down, and then she slams her through a table. Hayter's gonna hate, as Jamie Hayter still keeps her eye on the Shine Championship with a 78 rated segment. Pretty stellar stuff there, it must be said. Moving along, we have Eddie Kingston, who's had a little bit of a problem with Swerve Strickland. He's complaining, he's moaning, he's saying, you know, like, Swerve's this kind of fake tough guy, blah blah blah. He's like, it just doesn't get time for people like that. And Eddie Kingston's playing the heel here, by the way, and Swerve's a babyface. He says, Swerve's trying to pick up my momentum. Somebody's again going to take my spotlight here in AEW. Enough is enough. No more. Eddie Kingston's time. Going to beat his ass, basically. And that's an 84 rated segment. I don't think these two will click. I just feel the styles are going to be too different. So I don't think this is going to go too well. But I felt the Verbals would be a pretty good programme. Actually went better than I thought. Superb matchup. Swerve picks up the win over Eddie Kingston in 14:09 with a surprise Credo out of nowhere, the most devastating move in sports entertainment. The roll up. But an 81, I think an 80 and an 89 and an 81 overall is pretty successful because psychology is going to be a massive factor. So if that wasn't a factor, you're probably looking at about an 84 or an 85 between these two. So pretty good stuff. Happy that it was the psychology that was the penalty and not the not clicking, because then eventually one may get the psychology stat to carry. It'll be a good matchup, that's for sure. Then we have the annoying trio from the Carnage brand, Logan Paul and Matty Wahlberg, just basically saying they're still here to take over the full of AEW, and they've got their muscle, and that muscle, alongside Paul Heyman, is Hook. So, yep, this is what I'm booking over on Carnage. It is a bit of a... It's like NXT, but then I've got TNA is like my proper NXT, if you get me. So it's just like I actually view it as WWE ECW, when I'm just trying out new things, putting people over, and I might take a small hit to my popularity, but at least I get to micromanage it. So hopefully, the overness of Logan Paul, the charisma of Logan Paul, can get Wahlberg over with his good charisma, and he can get Hook over and get him some attention on him. His technical skills are good, obviously the verbals aren't too good in this particular mod, but I'm intrigued to see what level we can get Hook to. We then have our World Championship match quite early in the night. Walter has been struggling for an opponent. I've been struggling for somebody to give him, and I felt like, you know what, let's try Uhaa Nation. So they had a match up at the start of the year. Walter won, fair enough, and then Uhaa Nation just picked up a bit of momentum, win after win after win. Number one contendership match against Randy Orton, won that, and then that gave us him in a position where I thought, let's put them together, let's give them a short match up, let's have them properly go for it in a wild brawl. But Walter continues his devastating reign with his 7th defence of the title. 84. Pretty good. And then he cuts a promo just saying there's many men that have failed before him. He's going to keep waiting to see who's going to step up to the plate, but no one is ready to take this belt off him. 2026 will fully be the year of the Ring General, Walter. And also just to note as well, because he's heel, so is MJF, didn't feel like it's good to keep them in a programme near each other. MJF is just waiting for the right creative plan, the right storyline for him, and he'll be straight back, but it's just trying to find that first and foremost. And that led us to our main event, which only got an 84. That's a shame. We know the story behind it. I said it at the start of the day, and it was about they had superb wrestling and great heat as Ricky Starks and Sami Zayne defeated Adam Page and Kenny Omega in 1944 when Starks pinned Hangman with the Buster Keaton. So an 84 overall, Starks with a 76, Zayne with an 82. Hangman and Kerry with the great chemistry together are always going to get the great boosts. That's close to 100. But it's trying to build a star off of them in the form of absolute Ricky Starks. I'm just hoping he's not capped at 79, because like Jungle Boy, that's just going to frustrate me, and it's going to put me a wee bit hesitant to put the title on them. I'm in the show, down in the ring, Kenny and Hangman make a distraction, Jay White and Adam Cole jump in, and 4 members of the Super Elite beat down Ricky Starks and Sami Zayn for the Super Elite to stand tall to the heat of the 70,850 people. Overall, the show gets in 93. Thank you very much, Boosts. So you can see a lot of stuff's moved forward in terms of the programmes. There's still a lot of stuff that obviously will have a second match-up, which I tend to always just do 1 month in the next programme. There's a lot of stuff there that there's continuity that will carry on into February, March, and even some will go as far as Blood and Guts. But happy with that one, as I say. FTR, John Moxley, Tyler Black, Kevin Steen, Nick Jackson, match of the night. Props to Kairi Hojo, Demi Bennett and Takuma Aroha for their matchup as well. And I'm hoping it turns into some sort of promotion elevation of absolute Ricky Starks. So we'll jump into the main screen and we'll see if there has been much of a pop game for Ricky Starks. So you can see there, fantastic reviews for the show, that's good to see. Nothing else there directly affects us. Kareem Alain is in our developmental, so we can always utilise him if need be. We are extending the deal of Mark Quinn, and we'll give the 75% increase to Danny Luna. QT Marshall's getting his push, so that's him wanting a pay rise, and Ita as well. So 75, that's fine. So you can see here, we need to extend the contracts of Venny and Tony Storm. Takahashi Yujiro, that is, has a blown eardrum. Hangman Lightsweet's hearing it from Demi Bennett. 36.68 TV rating. The importance is now above average. With a lack of big names, who are we missing? I know Jay White didn't wrestle, Adam Cole didn't wrestle, MJF didn't wrestle. I think there's much more on top of that. So I'm quite concerned that is the... So if I go to like franchise players, Kenny wrestled, Cody didn't I suppose. Walter did, Mercedes did. Bizarre that? Anyway, we came here to see absolute Ricky Starks. Where is he in my list here? And he's pop capped at 79. That's painful. He's always going to be good in terms of charisma, so he's going to have decent promos, but that is a wee bit frustrating. So we'll hopefully get his skills up a wee bit so he can actually properly move on. He's only really had an Evolve title run before he made the move to Dynamite, and obviously an NWA title run way before the mod started. So yeah, I probably should take him out the Supreme Collective. That's not really a thing anymore. So we'll work on that. But there's your man there, QT Marshall, gone from AEW, rehired by AEW. And yeah, he is a mixed tag team champion. Just to let you see, sorry, as well, the chaos that was caused by that split. Personal info. There you go, she's fell out with Lance Storm, Rosemary, Alison Kay, Ali, Casey Catanzaro, and Chelsea Green as well. She's already split up with Seth Rollins, and obviously she's now dating Matt Cardona, so that is a very, very interesting one for sure. So that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you did enjoy it. If there's anything else you'd like to see, let me know. But the plan is, I say, just to stick to the pay-per-views for AEW and TNA. Obviously, they're developmental. TNA don't have anything until March, so it's probably going to be at least 2 AEW ones before then. As I say, it should be Forbidden Door, but we're going to change it to just an AEW event, which I'll get a name for something. Then the All-Women's event, then TNA, or Impact Wrestling, sorry, and then Revolution. So that's it. Cheers for watching. Remember to check out the Fantasy Booker subreddit over on Reddit and the Grey Dog Software forums. Plenty of written stuff there, which sometimes will just blow your mind and give you some great ideas, because the amount of time and effort those guys put in is absolutely mental. And it is a very, very enjoyable read. But most importantly, all the best for 2023. Take it easy. Bye-bye.